Think video is just for brand awareness? Think again. This week on Profit with a Plan, I'm joined by Tim Bradley, the mind behind the video marketing trifecta, a proven framework used by brands like Cisco and Philips to turn B2B videos into mid funnel conversion machines. So, if you're ready to stop wasting views and start driving real engagement, this conversation will flip how you think about storytelling, strategy, and scalable content that actually works. Don't miss this episode, especially if you're in tech B2B or you're just tired of the fluff video marketing. Catch us on Profit with a Plan. Hey, entrepreneurs, are you working too hard for too little profit? Well, welcome to Profit with a Plan podcast, where we help you scale smarter, increase profitability, and build a business that's worth more, whether you keep it or sell it. I'm Marcia Riner, the business growth strategist and profit booster behind Infinite Profit. I've helped countless entrepreneurs to turn their businesses into highly profitable and sale-ready assets, so they enjoy more income now and a bigger payday later. So join me for practical strategies, expert insights, and proven steps to make your business more profitable, more valuable, and built to last. By the way, today's episode is sponsored by Infinite Profit, where we don't just talk profit, we deliver it. But before we dive in, I have something special for you. If you're a business owner who's tired of overcomplicated, overpriced marketing strategies that just don't deliver up, well, listen. What if you could have a simple, affordable way to market your business that actually works? The Profit Booster Marketing Hub is your all-in-one marketing system built specifically for busy entrepreneurs who want real results without hiring a full tech team or wrestling with all the craziness. It's automated, intuitive, and it comes loaded with pre-designed templates, CRM, a social media tool, email, and text automation. Everything you need to capture, nurture, and close those leads. So if you're ready for a low-cost, easy-to-use marketing system that gets the job done, go visit profitbooster.biz and let's make your marketing more profitable. All right, let's jump in on today's episode. Tim Bradley is the co-founder of Pennant Video, a B2B agency known for pioneering the video marketing trifecta, a framework that powers mid-funnel strategies for companies like Cisco, Hitachi, and Philips. With nearly 20 years of experience, Tim combines his deep storytelling and creative leadership with scalable strategies to help B2B tech brands cut through the noise to drive meaningful engagement. He's also a mentor, speaker, and authentic voice on LinkedIn, known for blending creative insight with humor and heart. Tim, welcome to Profit with a Plan podcast.
Thank you so much. That was a very warm intro. I appreciate it.
Oh, sure. Okay, so first of all, 20 years. Come on, where are you hiding that, right? It's we all get into this business and we think, wow, that was yesterday that I started this thing, right? And then 20 years later, you're like, yeah, it feels like yesterday I started this thing. It's so much fun to be in for a long term. But how did you get into the video side of marketing versus all the other avenues that we can look into?
Yeah, I mean, I like to throw it back even further than that to like childhood, where I was fortunate enough where my parents had, the big clunky
The eight
VHS
millimeter?
deck, you know what I mean? So me and my younger brothers, we would make up little stories and stop motion animations with like Legos and stuff when we were growing up. So I think a lot of that sort of creativity through that medium of video really just kind of spoke to me at an early age, right? And then I did the classic thing coming out of college, moved to California, opened that first credit card and immediately put a bunch of debt on it with a camera and MacBook Pro so I could just like get immersed in the storytelling, right? So started as far back as that, and then just the time at the box and the seat in conversations with clients and just sort of seeing the whole evolution of the industry from like film to digital to, not everybody has the ability to record HD or 4K with their phones, and just, the sort of proliferation of that across industries has been really exciting and amazing. I'm just like grateful to be along for the ride, right?
Great. Do you embrace the self videographer, or do you say, yeah, don't touch something you shouldn't be dabbling in?
I would answer that with a yes, and I suppose, right? Like, yeah, I think the more you can, put yourself in front of a camera or, in situations like this one, I think, the pandemic kind of forced a lot of hands to become a bit more comfortable talking to the little green dot on our machines, right? And
Right.
so I think a lot of that just really helps you with an understanding of posture and delivery and all of those sort of like soft skills that are really important for any professional, right? But yeah, when it comes to engagement with audiences and building brand equity and building trust, most importantly, right? Like having that partner, that marketing partner is really important and impactful, right?
I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, you get the authentic videos out there where someone's walking around with their phone telling you a story. But in a professional environment, I don't know that that has any weight. Like, that's not something I would want to have as my brand video on my marketing piece, but that's great for social media, right? So I think there's use cases for each side of it.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. Yeah. And just to interject there, it's like video is like by far the preferred medium by audiences everywhere. So the more you can approach a campaign or an initiative or a launch or something annual on your calendar, right, like with a video first mentality, it's such
mm,
like a helpful first step to then understand like how to maximize resources, like how to have a ripple effect across your enterprise, right, with like digital, social, internal, external, out of home, like the way you create, right, it just has such an impact is the word I keep using.
I love it. And I'm glad that you're bringing that to the forefront. It is. I mean, if you're not on video, business owners, and you're relying on somebody else to do your marketing, or you're relying on other resources, you're missing out the boat because people are preferring to watch videos. Social media and ads prefer videos in their ads. And I think if you're not doing that, you've got anchors on you, and you're sinking quickly or slowly, either way, but you're sinking.
Yeah, absolutely. And I get it. Like it's sort of difficult to generally put yourself out there, right? So to know that you're being recorded and yada yada is it's tough, but I mean it's like anything. It's practice, it's repetition. Like you get comfortable in the dynamics of it all, right? And like the classic proverb of when's the best time to plant a tree? 10 years ago. Otherwise now, right? So I think just getting started again just really helps you understand like things like total runtime and engagement and like what your audience is like, what's resonating with your audience, right? And then you can build sort of equity and investment and production value from there. So yeah, I always say we really love working with brands that have an internal capability or honestly just like mindset, like an adoption towards the medium of video, because then it's like they're doing the right things on with employer branding and recruiting and building fostering a culture that like supports it, right? And then of course social media, the drumbeat, the visibility, like showing up in that way with their subject matter experts or their leadership, right, is really important. And then partnering with a marketing group like us or advertising group to like support the mid and top of funnel with high end production value that really like lands that best first impression and builds trust through conversion, right, is the best sort of all worlds, I would say.
Well, let's talk about that, because that's a great segue into learning about how does one at the top of the funnel start to build that trust, right? There's always that kind of like, oh, do I do this like canned video that says, here's our history and our value proposition and our mission point and who we serve, and is
Yeah.
that where you build it?
No, I would say not. I mean, it listen, advertising, top of the funnel is very challenging in its own right? Like it is noisy out there and many
Uh,
people are shouting. You know what I mean? They'll just like try to catch a signal, right? So like working with either the right marketing and leadership internally to identify your ideal customers and like where are they and what channels are they on and like how do you best show up and provide value like repeatedly is like its own exercise. But for us, like at Pennant specifically, is like once that click is sold, you've sold the click wherever and between Google and social and paid and et cetera, right? And it's like, or even trade shows. And now you have an interested audience landing on your
Mm.
website. Now that journey is like really begun, right? And that's that sort of messy middle that we call it. That's like kind of the battlegrounds for building on that attention, building that trust, building that sense of belief, right, towards ideally conversion, right? And it's like we all know you're not going to sell to every person everywhere, but to just like with the right set of assets, the right set of marketing materials to like build it the right sort of journey to build on empowering decision making, right, is really the goal. Like empowering the audience to make a decision, then you're on the path to success.
I love that explanation because everybody focuses on the top of the funnel, right? Those quick ads, the catchy thing, the thing that can hook them in. But in reality, folks, you're not going to sell from those ads. You're
No,
grabbing their attention, and that person is now curious to learn more. And so, what you're talking about, Tim, if I'm correct, right, is the middle is after you've gotten their attention, how do you keep it? How do you engage them? How do you bring them along in their journey so they can start to make
exactly.
decisions and move you up on their short list, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And then not to go down a whole other tangent here, but like everything AI, especially like, ChatGPT is sort of predominant, is like most of that top of the funnel research is compressed, right?
Mm.
And so it's like the sort of, especially in B2B, right? The sort of buyer's journey there often begins with quick comparisons that a bot can provide for you, right? But then the research really begins, and you need to show up in a human way, in a trustworthy way, in an authentic way, right? And so all of these collection of marketing assets, but specifically with video, right, is like mission critical to help differentiate you from your competition, help demonstrate your value, and really validate your offering with like third party testimonials, et cetera, right? So
Okay.
crucial.
So tell me a little bit more about that. So we're in the video, right? Or we're in the middle of the funnel kind of space, right? And we're
Mhm.
trying to get them to engage deeper with us. What are some of the suggestions that have worked really well for your company and your clients?
Yeah, so we developed this. It's a framework, really. And you alluded to it at the top of the intro there. So the video marketing trifecta. So it's a set of 3 videos that, on principle and practice, help differentiate brands, demonstrate value, and validate with third party. Right. So that is the trifecta: differentiate, demonstrate, validate. But what that really means, as far as like deliverables or assets or content, like whatever sort of word you want to use, these are anthem videos, explainer videos, and endorsement videos, AKA customer stories or testimonials, right? So if I can go into it, the purpose of each
Please.
respectively is anthems. Demonstrate your why, like, or sorry, showcase your why you exist, why your audience should care, why you're different from the competition, right? Like I always say, these are on the cusp of advertising, but it's that first sort of touch point that, a brand or a buyer has landed on your website. You want to pull them in, speak to them emotionally, speak to their heart, right? Like show them that you see them as a reflection of each other here in this space, in this sort of like ecosystem or situation that you're in. That is like what we call sort of your flagship asset, right? Like that sort of tip of the spear to your rallying cry, right? So overemphasizing on that one. The explainer video, I think we're all largely familiar with, right? It's that what you do and how you do it, but do it in an engaging way, do it in a interesting, unique branded way, right? A little bit of humor, whatever you can, as far as like an emotional, continue that emotional
Storytelling.
draw, storytelling. Exactly. I always say it's to speak to the minds of the audience. So now you've
Mm.
sort of captured their heart, and you're speaking to their minds of their decision making process. But then you want to really, double down on that trust that you're building and those customer stories, those endorsement videos, right? Like these are so important to help close deals, right? And so especially like sales for your sales force or your sales folks, right? Like they really value having a diverse array of these because it can speak, have stories about certain industries or certain pain point and solution sets, right? Like these individual stories that then as a buyer is becoming more interested, again, they can put themselves in the shoes of this particular situation, right? To help make a decision on everybody's accord, right?
I love that. Okay, so the anthem, the how-to, and the testimonials are the trifecta that we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Amazing and brilliant, that you have that in a formula that works really well. I'm going to go to the third one, and then we'll go back up to the top
Sure.
one. But the third one, when we get these testimonials, right? Um, how scripted are they or canned are they? Because, we all know that we ask our client and say, oh, can you tell me why you decided to buy from me or what results I proved for? It may not be in the language that is really going to draw the person in. And you want it yet to stay authentic. So how scripted do you do these? And are they professionally done or you just ask them to fire off some comments on their iPhone?
Listen, you
Are your podcast guest appearances leading to real business, or are you just hoping that listeners will take action? With the Profit Booster Podcast Monetization Hub, we turn your interviews into lead generating machines so that you capture, nurture, and convert listeners into paying clients. So stop leaving money on the table and get started today at profitboosterpod.com. iPhone.
listen, you can do all of them, any and all of that, right? Like I'm biased, but I will say that, or I will push it back to you that what would you prefer to see as an audience member, right? Like if you're thinking and putting your best foot forward on your audience's behalf, like you'll make the right decision as far as like production value is concerned, right? Like
Yeah.
I get it. We have so many internal forces of like, hitting KPIs and budget and bandwidth and timelines and, resources, frankly, right? That it's like
Exactly.
those are real guardrails, right? Like I very much appreciate that. But when you're trying to build trust and you're trying to like show that you are the right choice in the eyes of your audience, right? I always encourage to infuse as much production value as you can because like
Mm.
you want to make this an enriching experience. And especially when first of all, you've asked your customers to go out on a limb to speak on your behalf, right? You want to make them the hero. You want to make
Oh,
them
yeah.
like the creme de la creme of their industry, right? And so like the more production value you can infuse into that situation, it supports that current relationship, right? But it also shows your audience, your prospective buyer that like you care, that you just care about this, right? And like they're gonna take care of you, right? When it comes time to sign a deal. So that's
Ooh, I like that.
usually the thing I really encourage and like I really respect all parts of business, right? So that's I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, it is a challenge. We're living in a, we'll call it a challenging time right now, financially for a lot of folks and business included. But when you want that weight, right? I always I want to coach my testimonial to say more powerful in the way, but you really don't want to do that without losing the authenticity. But I think that when you've got a director and you've got, a professional team, I think your testimonial will be more open to the coaching and support on it. And I think you really hit it on the head. If I'm showing the care and with my customer and the testimonial that they're giving, then what kind of care am I going to show you, Mr. Prospect, right?
That's
I
exactly
think
right.
it's
Yeah.
really super valuable. So thanks for sharing that. I know it's like, okay, where does the budget allow, right? But at the
Mhm.
same time, that's a valuable message subliminally that comes out of a really good well done testimonial.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah. And the other thing I always say to prospective customers or clients is that you're also building on a library, right? Like your library of owned, unique, branded materials, right? And that stuff holds its weight in gold that you can like repurpose and reinfuse into other initiatives over time, right? So if
sure.
you go on location with a customer, you're doing all those things we just talked about, but you're also capturing and recording content and images that are yours. Like you're not going to see that on a stock site somewhere, right? That your competitor might be able to have. So though that's like an added consideration when you're making an investment into video in this way, is that you're building on a repository, a library that can support future initiatives.
Love it. Okay, so let's keep this reverse role and go into the how to, right?
Hmm.
Um, keeping it kind of niche but broad enough to your audience. I mean, are if you sell one thing to one person, then it's easy to do, but for many of
Absolutely.
us, we're selling to a we'll call it a broader market of mixed people, right? And so when we're talking about this kind of how to, who I serve, how I do it, what are my frameworks that I use, and those kind of things. um how much weight out of the 3 does that really lend to?
I would say that the explainer video is the most common for a few reasons, because it's often the thing that or derives from a conversation or a set of FAQs that a salesperson is saying repeatedly, right? It's like the type
Mm,
of thing like I'm answering this type of question a lot, right? Like what do we do and how do we do it? So to do it in a visually interesting way that's on brand, that has the sort of like complex sandwich, I like to describe it as, right? You got your messaging, your tone, your identity, your the music, the voiceover, the art, the videography, like whatever it is, right? Like it just makes for a bit of an experience. And so arming your sales force with something to that effect is like very powerful, right? Because it not
yeah.
only helps them like either preemptively answer some questions, or just makes for a savvier buyer by the time they watch it, right? That it like just makes their conversations a bit more enriched and nuanced and unique to whatever the situation is, right? Now that said, like there is no one video silver bullet for it all, right? So it's like obviously it depends on your industry and your own business, but it's like we're always encouraging folks to think strategically with like, yes, maybe one real salient, simple explainer video that is like sort of your immediate FAQ answer, right? But the like further you can lean into industry expertise or into individual pain point solution sets, right? Like we work with a lot of, as you said, like a lot of B2B tech brands that have like all sorts of industry sets and all sorts of stakeholders from, like CISOs and et cetera. It said that it's like, if you can create explainers that are respective to title and to industry, like you can and do it in an efficient way that's like very conducive to your brand, right? Now you've got this robust library that your sales force can be like, oh, I have this prospect here that's, in this category and in this space. Here's a piece that speaks directly to them, right? So this, of course, is like long-term growth, and a lot of the brands you said at the top like have the sort of time and resources to support those types of things. But even just getting started with one, you can start identifying like the gaps in your own buyer's journey to like produce more that are in the same like scale and flavor of your original explainer video.
So to me, it sounds like it's probably one of the more important videos that you have in here, but it's also something that can be repurposed and reused and
Hmm.
and many different variations. And I love it how you said your salespeople can go into the library and choose the one that really aligns best with the client they're talking to and share that with them. So it's not just a one and done, pretty for the website, right? That
Yep.
shows up, but it's something that can be stripped and cut and repurposed in many different ways.
Yeah. Another way I would say that is like, again, if you're thinking about your buyer, your audience, and how like, specific and nuanced and niche they are, like appropriately, right? Like the more you can tailor your story and your message and communicate that through this medium, right, is going to be really powerful for helping close the deals.
Love it. Really good stuff, Tim. I think that this trifecta is really important to have. And I think that I know that many of the business owners, they're only looking at that top of the funnel thing. They never thought to have really high quality production value on their testimonials, and then a library of explainer videos that can truly be repurposed and shared later on. I know they're not thinking in this manner. So this is really valuable. So let's go reverse again and go back up to the top and talk about, and you called it a what kind of video? The
Anthem video, right?
Anthem. I
Like,
was thinking the authority video, but
yeah,
Anthem
yeah, no,
video.
it's fine. I mean,
Okay.
we just love this sort of semi alliteration, right? Of anthems, explainers, endorsements, just kind of keeps it rolling off the tongue. But an anthem is effectively like your mission values based videos, right? Like this is like what you stand for, like again, why you exist, why your audience should care, why you're different from your rivals, right? And so these tend to be shorter, punchier, like really emotionally forward, right? To again, like attempt to be that reflection of your buyer and their own set of values and what they're trying to pursue in, in their professional career. So yeah, these are the sort of most fun to produce. They typically align in a brand's like if they're having a rebrand situation, that tends to be like the most common because they're working through a brand narrative, right? Like they're working through some semblance of identity upgrade or refresh or whatever, right? So
Mhm.
like this is such a great moment to like wave that flag right in the eyes of their audience. They're also very common for sales kickoff situations where you're trying to like rally a bunch of like-minded people. There are, customer experience events to kick off the top of that, right? Like a moment that you really want to like hook someone and speak to their heart in a way, right? So these are not as common, but they're really quite important when you're just trying to produce that reflection of your audience.
I think it's that emotional connection, right? That you're
Hmm.
hoping to gain with your audience, where the middle one is more the logical connection that you have with it. And then the last one is your proof of concept, right?
Yeah, that
Because
kind
you've
of
got
the kind of
people.
gut check is the
Yeah,
way I describe
yeah,
it. Yeah.
that's really good. So with the emotional ones, and I know these ones are probably last on their list of things that they want to have, right, in their video portfolio, but they're really important because, as you mentioned, this is where you're going to get the buyer that says, "Oh, they're like me. They believe in saving puppies or creating water for people that are thirsty or whatever
Yep.
it is that you stand for, on top of the fact that you're a business locally and you want to earn their trust and build it. And this to me sounds like that first trust step that
It
you're
is,
really going
right?
to get in.
Like truly it's again like that click has been sold somewhere, right? They have arrived wherever it is, your website.
Now what?
Right. This is that first moment to make that like really your best first impression. So what is
Mm.
that like ideally really tight, kind of like 60 seconds anthemic piece that like builds on that curiosity, that early curiosity, right? Like people start to see themselves in the reflection of those values. And then you pull them through to the explainer, like, all right, well, what is this? What is this group about? Right. And like, oh, who is this for? Right. And that's where those endorsements or testimonials come in. So again, just thinking about that audience, building that journey as best you can. And yeah, it's a really exciting thing.
So this sounds fantastic for larger companies. Like you mentioned in your introduction, you've worked with some really serious names, right? What about the smaller guys that are here? So, for an example, B2B, like you said, a small tech firm that does
Yep.
IT security.
Yep.
How does one, they got a couple of guys, they're all wearing matching t-shirts. It's not like this, deep pocket major organization. It's the little guys. How do
Yep.
they use this kind of framework, um, financially and budget wise and impression wise to, because their lives tend to shift in a by week rather than,
100%.
the
Yep.
big guys can, put some money into it because they've had years of, history and value. They're not going anywhere. And the little guys seem to be agile, trying to find a way.
Yeah. I'm going to answer this a few different ways because I love this question. So for us, when we launched Pennant, we started with a mini anthem, like a mini festo is what we called it. So it's kind of like a shorter, punchier version of an anthem, right? But it's something that still really works for us today, like several years later, where audiences are like, oh, I remember seeing that thing, or like, we want something like that for ourselves. So like, we're fortunate in that we can create our own stuff, right? But if I was going to encourage anyone, it'd be starting with the endorsement video. Like you have customers, you wouldn't be in business if you didn't have customers, right? So like really propping them up as the heroes that they are in their space, and like making that little bits of investment story over story. It's kind of like a really great, again, it's a great way to like build on the relationships that you have, show the like provide the value to your audiences to help them make a decision, ideally in your camp, right? And start building on that library, like that sort of compounding bits of visuals that you can use across all of your digital, right? So I'd always encourage that. And then the explainer is again that like you're invariably saying the same things over and over again, right? You're on a sales call, you're in a pitch situation. Like record that stuff, use it to distill it down to, you know, a tight 90 seconds. Great. You could do your own voiceover, right? And then work with someone to help put the visuals over it that are as uniquely yours as possible, right? Like, yes, there's stock sites and Fiverr and AI and all this stuff, right? And like you just my caution there is just like you've probably seen you know a stock piece of video across like several different videos before, right? So
Sure.
that like sort of you don't want to like dilute yourself if you can help it. So, but I get it. It's just like use like at the end of the day, you want these tools to help further your initiatives while empowering decision making. So it's
Mm.
just like making that best decision on behalf of your audience, on behalf of the resources and time that you have. But yeah, like especially early days, like an anthem is really exciting because it's like that rallying cry, that statement, that like you know that you've arrived, right? But sometimes like if you're that scrappy of a startup, maybe you don't know yet, right? You're still trying to figure out the mechanics of your best buyer, like what their pain points really are. Like you're working through the mechanics of all that. So I'm really glad we went through the trifecta in the order that we did, because those customer stories, those endorsements are really impactful early. The explainers really help you repeat the message that you're saying like most commonly time and time again, and then build towards that anthem with the visuals that you collect along the way. And then you've got this really powerful message for yourself.
Love it. Oh, I'm so glad we did that then. See the natural intuition of just going
Exactly.
backwards. It just seemed whatever to go along. But
Yep.
let me close with one more question. So we talked about the ripple effect of what video does. Can you summarize that in a little bit? I think it's really important, and people aren't quite understanding that if you drop something here now, that it comes out and grows, right?
Yeah, especially with the sort of mid funnel focus that we have, that's sort of this like middle out effect, right? Where it's like you get these core messages really tight, really on brand, production value, right? Like what we described as that trifecta, right? But from there, it's like all of that imagery can be repurposed as static, as designed graphics, as trade show booths. We've done this a
Mm.
bunch of times, right? Like as anything to support like an annual event you might have, as animated GIFs for your email campaigns, right? So there's just so many ways that like that investment can be either flexed or stretched or whatever word you want to use across your digital to like really just continue to infuse your brand across those channels that you own, right? And then of course there's like the puzzle, like the pieces of that puzzle or that sandwich of video, right? Where it's like, cool, you've got this client story, this testimonial, this endorsement that's really tight and exciting, and you know has a lot of the production value that you have, but invariably that interview came from somewhere, and that interview can be used to write a written case study, right? Or like to use the pull quotes to be put on, you know, print materials, right? As like that single line testimonial or your website or whatever. So it's just sort of that video first mentality, like doing this sort of like it is truly like the most challenging too in its own right. But like once you've made that investment of time and resources and production value, it can really have a ripple effect across your whole entity.
I love it, Tim. This is really, really good. All right. So, listeners, I know video can be something as simple as an iPhone, but in some of the middle of your business, when you've already attracted them, it really needs to have some quality pieces behind it. And I love Tim's idea of his trifecta and the ripple effect on it, and how impactful that would really be to bring those prospects really into leads and potential clients, and then turn them into clients for you. And I think that this is a multiplying way of doing it. But Tim, where can listeners find out more about you?
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn, Tim Bradley, Pennant Video, right? And then Pennant.video or pennantvideo.com is our website.
Okay.
And on there we have what we think is a really helpful ebook of sorts where it's called Funnel Focused, and it's about the video marketing playbook for like winning at each of these stages of the funnel that we talked about, right? So it's pretty comprehensive, top, mid, bottom funnel, right? And there's a interactive, not interactive, but there's a quiz that you can take from it too to just help you understand like where to best get started, where to best support what you've got going on from a video marketing standpoint. So yeah, that's ungated on our website. Just scroll a little bit and a pop-up will appear.
Love it. Super valuable because, yeah, I mean, there's a lot that can be done and a lot of rabbit holes we can fall in to make sure that we're focused on what are the most valuable opportunities for us right now and with our budget and bandwidth, right? And to be able to start building the library, as you've said so many times throughout this interview, it's start, right? Put that
Yep.
tree in the ground right now and start building your asset library that you could reuse and repurpose over time. So awesome, awesome things. And all right, so thanks for listening today. I hope you picked up some valuable insights and actionable ideas that will help you make your business more profitable. And I know wholeheartedly that video is the platform and the tool. I don't know if it's tool or platform that I'm thinking of, but the way to get your message out there in a way that if you can be the star of the video, you're going to engage and connect even deeper with your prospective clients out there. And so I would encourage you to get on Tim's playbook, learn which videos you need, and you can put into play right now. And I think you'll be heads up, and at the end of the year you'll go, oh, I'm so glad I watched that podcast. All right. So if you're tired of overpriced marketing that is complicated and time consuming, check out the Profit Booster Marketing Hub. It's your low cost, easy to use alternative to expensive strategies, complete with automations, templates, and a personalized strategy call. Go get the details at profitbooster.biz. And you don't forget to subscribe. You don't want to miss future shows if I can get my tongue untwisted. Catch us every Tuesday on Profit with a Plan on any of your favorite podcast platforms. And we're looking forward to more great profitable strategies on next week's show. So until then, make your plans and profit with them. Thanks so much, Tim.
Thank you so much.